You get the atmosphere. I mean, I did find it harrowing. I mean,
Did you find it harrowing?
I did.
A fiery confrontation is believed to have quietly erupted right at the heart of the palace after Queen Camilla accidentally discovered King Charles's secret plan to draw up a will honoring the legacy of the late Princess Diana and placing full authority in the hands of Princess Anne and Prince William. The feeling of being pushed to the sidelines, combined with the looming threat of losing every entitlement, ignited a blaze of jealousy, driving Camilla to immediately devise a dark campaign of retaliation. The rise of this alleged plot not only poses a direct threat to the personal reputations of Princess Anne and Prince William in the media, but also pushes the entire royal family into a treacherous crisis of power. As priceless assets and the sacred royal seal become targets for seizure under the cover of darkness, the boundary between dynastic honor and personal greed has been stretched to a dangerously thin line. Will Princess Anne manage to stop Camilla's reckless move in time to protect Princess Diana's legacy, or will the plot to seize power succeed? And what price will await the one who has ventured too far into the shadows? According to several insider sources among royal observers, the incident began with an extraordinarily rare and completely unexpected lapse inside the palace. Queen Camilla is said to have accidentally overheard a closed-door meeting taking place in a private setting between King Charles, Princess Anne, and Prince William. According to reports, the subject of the meeting was of immense importance: the discussion and decision surrounding the drafting of the king's official will. Amid the solemn and restrained atmosphere of the private meeting, King Charles openly revealed a deeply painful wish he had carried within him for a long time. The king expressed his desire to devote the entirety of his remaining life to atoning for the hurt and mistakes of the past, while also honoring the invaluable legacy of the late Princess Diana. Based on behind-the-scenes sources, the king's specific plan was to allocate a substantial portion of his assets to establish a series of large-scale charitable foundations bearing Princess Diana's name. Most importantly of all, King Charles expressed absolute trust in his decision to place full responsibility for managing this fortune, along with extensive governing powers, in the hands of Princess Anne and Prince William. However, accidentally learning the full contents of the meeting reportedly created a dramatic turning point in Queen Camilla's state of mind. As she witnessed lucrative financial benefits and a position of supreme influence gradually slipping out of her grasp and returning entirely to Princess Diana's bloodline, a deep fire of rage and jealousy tore through her thoughts. The resentment that had accumulated within her made it impossible for her to continue sitting quietly and enduring the sight of her predecessor's legacy being honored with such solemn reverence, while her own position and standing were being diminished. According to leaked documents, in order to prevent this scenario from becoming reality, Queen Camilla immediately devised an extremely sophisticated counterstrike. She secretly contacted and covertly hired outside forces to collect and fabricate a series of false dossiers. The central purpose of these materials was to smear the character, tarnish the public image, and damage the personal reputations of Princess Anne and Prince William. Queen Camilla's strategic intention was to have all of these damaging materials released through the mass media at the appropriate moment. Her calculation was that completely destroying Anne and William's credibility and honor in the eyes of the public would generate enormous pressure, making it impossible for the king to carry out his intentions, and thereby stopping King Charles's official will from ever being announced. Will the plan to spread defamatory materials through the media help Queen Camilla stop the will, or will she continue down an even more reckless and dangerous path inside the royal archives? According to internal reports recorded by royal observers, Queen Camilla's actions did not stop at schemes involving the creation of defamatory dossiers for circulation through the mass media. Amid her calculated maneuvering and careful assessment of the situation, she quickly realized that media campaigns designed to destroy reputations were still not enough to guarantee absolute security for her own position. The threat of being left with nothing, shut out from every core center of power, and stripped of enormous financial benefits, remained starkly present before her. For that reason, Queen Camilla decided to make a move far more reckless and many times more dangerous. According to insider information, in order to carry out this new plot, Queen Camilla personally provided a top-level security code to a trusted employee belonging to her own faction. With this special access sequence, she created the most favorable conditions possible for her henchmen to quietly and covertly infiltrate the tightly restricted royal archive. This was a location protected by complex security systems and reserved exclusively for personnel holding the highest levels of authorization. The employees' ultimate objective during this audacious break-in was to locate and steal the royal seal, the object representing the highest legal authority of the monarchy. After obtaining the precious seal, his task was to use it to stamp and authenticate a forged will that Queen Camilla herself had carefully drafted in advance. Based on reports analyzing the document in this fraudulent text created under false pretenses, Queen Camilla had unilaterally replaced and altered all of the core provisions relating to inheritance and the distribution of power. She brazenly granted herself supreme regency authority over all matters of governance, while also naming herself as the sole beneficiary of the majority of the royal family's most expensive and strategically valuable properties. This substitution of content stood in complete opposition to King Charles's original wishes to allocate assets to charitable foundations and transfer authority to Princess Diana's bloodline. In order to legitimize this deceitful and unlawful act before the law, as well as before the entire royal family, Queen Camilla deliberately fabricated highly sophisticated arguments directly within the document itself. She intentionally presented false claims that Princess Anne and Prince William were entirely lacking in the competence, expertise, and moral qualities required to shoulder the immense historical responsibilities of the monarchy. By distorting the abilities of the two lawful heirs, Camilla sought to rationalize her seizure of the regency and the vast portfolio of royal real estate, preparing the ground for the next step in her plot to wrest control of power. Will using the royal seal on the forged will allow Camilla to complete her scheme of seizure, or will her next covert actions under the cover of darkness cause the entire plot to be exposed? According to internal reports from the security forces, the climax of the dark chain of conspiracies unfolded that very night. Based on leaked information under Queen Camilla's direct orders, her trusted henchmen deliberately staged a diversion to distract the guards who were carrying out their strict security duties. The scheme conveniently cleared the way for him to secretly slip into the royal jewelry vault, a place where priceless treasures were kept. As soon as he successfully gained entry, the henchmen quickly began gathering up priceless pieces of jewelry that had once belonged to the late Princess Diana. According to observers' analysis, Camilla's core objective was to remove and disperse all of these historic assets that very night, delivering a decisive blow intended to stop the king's plan to honor Princess Diana's legacy. However, the seemingly flawless plan immediately revealed a major vulnerability. One guard on duty, thanks to his heightened vigilance, quickly detected irregularities in the diversionary behavior. Realizing the danger with a clear mind, while the henchman was momentarily careless, the guard quietly slipped a recording device containing the full body of evidence into his pocket. Immediately afterward, he sent an emergency alert directly to Princess Anne. Upon receiving the urgent warning, Princess Anne did not delay for a single moment. She immediately got into a vehicle with a contingent of soldiers and launched a relentless pursuit through the darkness of the night. The chase unfolded breathlessly along the road leading out of the royal grounds. The vehicle carrying Camilla and her accomplice as they attempted to flee was rapidly closed in on cutoff and completely brought to a halt by the pursuing vehicles. The soldiers, under Princess Anne's command, quickly surrounded the scene, subdued the suspects, and captured the entire group of henchmen alive, together with the valuable evidence at the scene. Behind-the-scenes sources revealed that the atmosphere at the interception site was extraordinarily tense. Princess Anne stepped out of the vehicle, her unwavering gaze fixed on the car that had been forced to a stop. She spoke in a sharp, commanding voice. Everyone clear the way. Soldiers immediately seal off this entire area, preserve the scene exactly as it is, and restrain the suspect. No one is permitted to leave this place by even a single step. A commanding officer of the soldiers immediately responded. Understood, Your Royal Highness. All units attention. Close in on the vehicle and eliminate every possibility of resistance, restrain the henchmen, and secure every box of evidence inside the car. The trusted henchman trembled as the soldiers subdued him, pleading fearfully, "Please wait, I was only following orders. I had no intention of violating royal property. Your Royal Highness, please reconsider." The commanding officer coldly cut him off. Everyone remain orderly. Any act of resistance will be dealt with under military discipline. Reporting to Princess Anne, we have completely subdued the henchmen and stopped the vehicle carrying Queen Camilla. At that moment, Queen Camilla stepped out of the vehicle. Her face could not conceal her panic yet. She still tried to hold her head high. In a trembling voice, she called toward Princess Anne. "Anne, how dare you order soldiers to stop my car in the middle of the night like this? Do you even know what you are doing? I am the Queen. You have no right to treat me like a suspect." Princess Anne stepped closer and replied calmly, yet with immense authority. "Queen Camilla, my actions tonight are based entirely on an emergency alert from the security forces. Your vehicle is carrying the henchman who has just broken into the jewelry vault, along with treasures belonging to the late Princess Diana. A title cannot serve as a veil to conceal actions that cross the legal and moral boundaries of the royal family." Camilla tried to explain herself, her voice faltering under the strain. "You have misunderstood, Anne. This is merely an internal transfer of assets. For security purposes, I only wanted to store these pieces of jewelry in a more secure location. I had absolutely no intention of removing or dispersing them, as you think." Princess Anne looked directly at Camilla and replied in a steely voice. "An internal transfer of assets in the middle of the night carried out by distracting the guards. Those explanations cannot change the reality that priceless evidence is sitting right inside this vehicle. The soldiers have captured the henchmen alive together with the wrongful act itself at the scene. Everything will be clarified transparently." The soldiers quickly escorted away the henchmen together with all of the jewelry that had been gathered up officially, bringing the intense nighttime pursuit to an end. Will being caught alive together with the stolen jewelry force Camilla to surrender, or will the tense confrontation that follows between her and Princess Anne that very night reveal even more shocking evidence? According to leaked internal reports from the security forces, right there at the scene of her detention in the cold darkness of the night, Queen Camilla completely descended into a state of extreme panic. Realizing that all of her wrongdoing had now been fully exposed, she could no longer maintain her usual dignified composure. In fear and desperation, Camilla repeatedly begged Princess Anne to show mercy, pleading for forgiveness and leniency for her impulsive actions. Yet standing before the woman believed to have betrayed the trust and dignity of the royal family, Princess Anne displayed an extraordinarily resolute, unyielding, and absolutely unwavering attitude. A tense, fierce, and explosive confrontation between the two women unfolded right there in the darkness of the night. Camilla's face turned pale as she stepped closer to Princess Anne, her voice trembling as she pleaded in panic. "Anne, I beg you, please have mercy and forgive me this one time. We are family. You cannot treat me this cruelly. If this gets out, the honor of the royal family will be completely destroyed, and I myself will have no way to survive. Please, for your father's sake, for the sake of my position, give me a way out." Princess Anne folded her arms, her icy gaze fixed directly on Camilla as she spoke in an extremely steely and decisive voice. "Forgiveness. You speak of forgiveness so easily, Queen Camilla. When you secretly planned against my father, against this family, and against the legacy of the late Princess Diana, did you ever think about the honor of the royal family? You personally trampled over every moral boundary and every standard of dignity. And now you invoke the name of family to beg me for mercy. That is absolutely impossible." Camilla took another step forward, her voice choking as she pleaded while simultaneously trying to defend herself. "Anne, please listen to me explain. I was pushed into a vulnerable position. I acted without thinking only because I was so worried about my own future. Things are not entirely as they appear to you. Please give me one chance to correct my mistake. We can settle this quietly right here, without having to bring this matter before the king." Princess Anne curled her lips into a cold smile, her attitude remaining utterly firm. "Correct your mistake. Acts of removing assets, distorting the truth, and operating in secrecy under the cover of darkness are not things that can be erased with a few words of pleading. My firmness tonight is not cruelty. It is my responsibility to protect the truth and the discipline of the royal family. You must take responsibility for what you have set in motion." Immediately after the explosive confrontation, without the slightest delay, Princess Anne walked towards the trusted employee, being restrained by the soldiers, and personally carried out a thorough search of his person. Just as the security forces had initially suspected during the careful search, Princess Anne discovered and confiscated the royal seal that had previously been stolen from the archive, together with a forged will that Camilla herself had carefully drafted. Holding the two critically important pieces of evidence in her hands, Princess Anne raised the forged will and the royal seal in front of Camilla. The princess's voice rang out coldly, cutting off every last hope of the woman now consumed by panic. "Look carefully at this, Queen Camilla. The sacred royal seal that was stolen together with the forged will, personally drafted by you in order to seize power and property. These are clear pieces of physical evidence that can no longer be denied. What do you have left to say in your own defense in the face of these documents?" When Camilla saw that the seal and forged will had been confiscated, she completely collapsed, her voice breaking into fragments. "Anne, you cannot confiscate those things. Please give them back to me. If you put these things in front of Charles, everything will be completely over." Princess Anne coldly placed the evidence into a secure document case, her stern gaze forcing Camilla to accept the bitter reality. "Everything is indeed over, but what is over is your dark conspiracy. I will personally seal and preserve all of this undeniable evidence. You no longer have any opportunity to escape or deny responsibility. Now, the only thing you can do is return to the palace immediately and prepare yourself to face the harshest punishment from the palace and the king." Under Princess Anne's direction, the security forces quickly escorted Camilla together with the crucial evidence back to the palace in the darkness of the night. When she faces King Charles the following morning with the full body of undeniable evidence laid before him, will Camilla continue trying to defend herself? Or will she finally be forced to bow her head and confess to the entirety of her conspiracy? According to internal reports from the palace the following morning, the atmosphere within the royal family became gloomy, suffocating, and extraordinarily heavy. Tension hung over the entire setting as Princess Anne personally escorted Queen Camilla back to Buckingham Palace for a direct confrontation in front of King Charles. Right in the king's study, Princess Anne calmly placed on the table all of the physical evidence seized the previous night, the defamatory dossiers targeting Anne and William that had been intended for release to the media, the stolen royal seal, and the ambitious forged will personally drafted by Camilla herself. Seeing the documents and the royal seal laid prominently across the table, King Charles could not conceal his shock and pain. As the room fell into a suffocating silence, Princess Anne stepped forward and spoke in an extremely steely voice, opening the confrontation. "Your Majesty, everything placed on this table is the truth about the actions that have been taking place in the shadows all this time. This is the dossier intended to destroy the reputations of Prince William and me before being released to the media, and this is the forged will personally drafted by Queen Camilla in an attempt to seize the regency and the royal property portfolio. Every piece of evidence is now completely clear." Camilla shrank back, her face pale, as she struggled to speak in a trembling voice and defend herself before the King Charles. "Please listen to me. Those documents were not something I deliberately created. This is all one enormous misunderstanding. I was incited by someone else. I never intended to destroy this family or turn against you." Princess Anne turned and looked directly at Camilla, her gaze razor-sharp and utterly unyielding. "You still intend to deny it, Queen Camilla. It was your man who carried the access code used to break into the archive. It was your henchman who gathered up the priceless jewelry belonging to the late Princess Diana and was captured alive at the scene last night. This forged will bears your handwriting and your meticulous calculations, and the royal seal itself was found during the search of your trusted employee. In the face of evidence, this valuable and this clear, how much longer do you intend to hide behind the words misunderstanding? Camilla trembled, raising both hands as she desperately tried to explain herself.
Anne, do not push me this far. I did all of those things only because I felt abandoned. When I overheard everyone's private meeting, I heard Charles say that he wanted to spend the rest of his life honoring Diana, establishing charitable foundations in her name, and handing all power to you and William. Then what about me? I am the current queen, yet I was facing the possibility of being left with nothing and completely pushed aside. How could I possibly accept that kind of injustice?
Princess Anne responded coldly, her voice ringing with authority.
Injustice, or merely your jealousy and bottomless greed? King Charles, wanting to atone for his mistakes and honor the legacy of the late Princess Diana, is entirely legitimate and noble. But you chose instead to hire people to create defamatory dossiers against us, steal the royal seal, and fabricate a will so that you could grant yourself the regency. You have not only betrayed the king's trust, but also trampled upon the dignity of the royal family. Camilla stepped backward, her eyes bloodshot, the conflict and bitterness clearly visible across her face. Confronted with evidence so valuable, so clear, and now completely impossible to deny, all of Camilla's deceitful rhetoric and clumsy excuses collapsed entirely. She knew that she no longer had any path of retreat. In bitterness and utter helplessness, Camilla was finally forced to lower her head and speak in a faint voice, admitting to all of her wrongdoing.
Fine.
I admit it. I admit that I did all of those things. I hired people to create the defamatory dossiers. I ordered someone to steal the seal. And I drafted that forged will. Do all of you know why? Because I was jealous. I was consumed by jealousy and envy toward Princess Diana to the point of madness. No matter how many years she has been gone, her image and her legacy have always weighed heavily over my life. I could not endure watching her legacy continue to be honored while I was treated as though I were someone unnecessary. That jealousy burned through my mind and made me desperate at any cost to destroy every last piece of the legacy Diana left behind. Camilla's bitter confession echoed through the room, exposing the entire dark truth behind the chain of conspiracies. Every layer of deception was officially stripped away before King Charles and Princess Anne. After the truth has been exposed and Camilla herself has admitted to her jealousy, what final punishment will King Charles and Princess Anne decide upon in order to protect the honor of the royal family? According to behind-the-scenes sources close to the royal family, the atmosphere inside Buckingham Palace fell into a heavy and painful silence following Queen Camilla's bitter confession. The truths laid bare before them were not only a devastating blow to the king's personal emotions, but also posed a direct threat to the survival and supreme honor of the entire royal bloodline. Faced with such a perilous situation, Princess Anne's decisiveness and unwavering resolve became the determining factor in preserving royal order. Based on internal reports, Princess Anne maintained an extraordinarily firm, steely, and uncompromising stance. She emphasized that any actions violating the law, trampling upon morality, and undermining the dignity of the monarchy could not be concealed or tolerated under any circumstances. Fully aware that covering up such dark conspiracies would permanently stain the image of the royal family in the eyes of history, Princess Anne issued extremely strict demands aimed at preserving royal dignity and absolutely protecting the supreme honor of the bloodline.
Faced with Princess Anne's undeniable arguments and completely unwavering position, King Charles, despite enduring extraordinarily bitter and painful inner turmoil, realized that he had no other choice. In order to preserve royal discipline and morality, the king was forced to make a painful but entirely necessary decision concerning his own consort.
According to leaked documents from internal news channels, King Charles officially signed a decree ordering the complete removal of Camilla's royal status and all of her royal titles. The decision meant that she officially lost all legal standing authority and noble privileges associated with her position as queen. Alongside the decree stripping her of her royal status,
the king also ordered Camilla to be quietly expelled from the palace, immediately bringing her presence within the royal family's living and governing sphere to a complete end. The matter was handled with absolute caution and strict internal control. All of Camilla's power status and political influence were officially extinguished entirely in the shadows. She was forced to leave the palace in silence, without any farewell ceremony or public appearance of any kind. The collapse of a personal reign unfolded quietly, bringing the entire chain of conspiracies to seize legacy and power to its final conclusion. According to analysis from experts who follow royal affairs, handling the incident quietly yet decisively in the shadows was a strategic move intended to protect the image of the monarchy. By discreetly removing Camilla from the palace and stripping her of all power without issuing sensational public statements, the royal family brought the matter to an extraordinarily smooth conclusion. This completely prevented any scrutiny digging speculation or waves of public controversy from the mass media and international press. As a result, the invaluable legacy of the late Princess Diana, together with the king's charitable plans, continued to be fully preserved and honored exactly according to his original wishes, while royal discipline was reinforced in the strongest possible way. How do you feel about the actions and psychological developments of the characters in this royal story? In your opinion, what deeper meaning or lesson does this confrontation and its conclusion in the shadows offer about greed, jealousy, and the value of legacy? Before you go, we'd just like to say thank you. Every story you watch here is the result of hours of research and careful storytelling. If you enjoyed today's video, we'd truly appreciate your like and subscription. We know it takes a few extra seconds on a TV remote, but your support helps us keep creating even more thoughtful, high-quality stories.